It's a Tuesday morning and you're sitting in a dealership at the same desk where you sat 11 months ago. Same salesman, same coffee machine, gurgling in the corner, same smell of new tires and carpet glue. Except this time, you're not buying. You're begging. You're trying to get out of the car you bought last year, and the man across the desk just slid a piece of paper toward you with a number on it that's $17,000 less than what you paid. 11 months, 17 grand. That's about $51 a day every day just for owning the thing. And here's what should really get under your skin. He's not surprised. He's seen this exact car come back across this exact desk so many times that he already knows what he's going to offer before you finish your sentence. Now, the title of this video says 15 cars Americans regret buying, ranked from bad to catastrophic. And I'll be straight with you. That sounds like clickbait. But this time, the data is uglier than the title. iSeeCars tracked over 18.5 million new car sales by their VIN numbers and found that while the average new car has a 3.6% chance of being resold in its first year, some models get dumped at 4 to 8 times that rate. Consumer Reports surveyed owners of about 380,000 vehicles and found models scoring 14 points out of 100 for reliability. And 2 of the cars on this list have federal recalls open right now in 2026 for engines that destroy themselves and batteries that can catch fire while the car is parked and turned off. I've spent my whole life around machines, and I can tell you that regret this consistent is never bad luck. It's engineering. So we're going to count down from merely disappointing to genuinely catastrophic. And near the end, I'll show you the one thing almost every car on this list has in common, because once you see the pattern, you'll never unsee it. Stay with me for that. Before we start counting, one thing you need to understand: regret leaves a paper trail. When somebody sells a nearly new car, they eat the worst depreciation a vehicle will ever see. Thousands of dollars gone just to make it stop. Nobody does that over a squeaky glove box. So first-year resale rates, reliability survey scores, and recall filings are the 3 most honest documents in this whole industry, because unlike the ads, they're written by people spending their own money. That's the yardstick for everything you're about to hear. Let's get into it. Number 15, the Mitsubishi Mirage G4. This is the gentlest regret on the list, and honestly, my heart's not fully in beating up on it. The Mirage G4 is a tiny sedan with a 1.2-liter 3-cylinder, making 78 horsepower, sold for around $19,600 on average, and 8.6% of buyers dumped it within the first year, more than double the national average. But here's the thing: the Mirage never lied to anybody. It's slow, it's loud, it's thin, and it's cheap, and it's honest about all 4. The regret comes from buyers who wanted a real car for economy car money and discovered that physics sends invoices. The engine itself, a simple, naturally aspirated 3-cylinder with none of the fragile trickery you'll hear about later, will actually outlast plenty of fancier machines on this list. And the biggest mechanical weak spot, the CVT, mostly survives fine here because 78 horsepower can't hurt anything. There's a lesson in that, by the way. Low stress is the cheapest reliability feature ever invented, and it's free. Mitsubishi has killed it off now, which tells you the market agreed with the buyers. If you regret a Mirage, you regret your expectations. Save your real anger for what's coming, because from here on, the cars start lying. Number 14, the Mini Clubman. Here's a car that sold buyers a personality and handed them a payment book. Average transaction price about $43,000 for a small premium wagon, and 11.4% of new buyers got rid of it within 12 months. That made it the most abandoned, non-luxury vehicle in America, and Mini has since discontinued it entirely. The mechanical story is a familiar one, a small turbocharged engine working hard its entire life, because that's what small turbos do. They run high boost and high heat to imitate a bigger engine, plus BMW grade parts pricing hiding under a cute badge, timing chain tensioners, and cooling components with a known appetite, and running costs that feel European in all the wrong ways. Anybody who's wrenched on these knows the drill. The parts counter says Mini, the invoice says BMW. The old mechanics had a saying about cars like this: charming to drive, expensive to know. Buyers fell for the styling, then met the ownership, and 1 in 9 of them walked away inside a year. When the manufacturer kills the model right after, that's not a coincidence. That's a confession. Number 13, the Mazda CX-70. This one regrets are built on a magic trick, because the CX-70 is a CX-90 with the third row taken out and almost nothing given back. Same body, same footprint, same platform, 2 rows instead of 3, average price around $53,800, and 7.2% of buyers gone within a year, double the norm. And here's the frustrating part. Mechanically, this is one of the better engineered vehicles on this list. Mazda built an inline-6 rear drive based platform when everyone else went cheap. The engineering isn't the regret. The product planning is. Buyers walked in expecting a smaller, cheaper CX-90 and got the same big vehicle with fewer seats for nearly the same money, and they felt played because they were. It's a good machine wearing a confusing price tag, and confusion, it turns out, resells fast. Number 12, the BMW 5 Series. The newest 5 Series posted a 13.4% first-year resale rate, nearly 4 times the average. And this is a car people save up their whole careers for. So what's going on? The current generation traded the things that made a 5 Series, mechanical feel, straightforward controls, that sense of a machine hewn from one billet for a wall of screens and software, climate controls buried in menus, features that arrive by subscription, a cabin that feels like an appliance that happens to move. The engines underneath are actually solid. BMW ranks as the most reliable European brand in Consumer Reports' latest survey, which makes this regret purely about the experience. People paid $60,000, $70,000 expecting the ultimate driving machine and received the ultimate software update. A car where turning up the fan takes 3 taps and a glance away from the road, where the machine between you and the machine never quite gets out of the way. Roughly 1 in 7 handed the keys back within a year rather than live with it. You can't fix a philosophy with a warranty claim. Number 11, the Jaguar F-Pace, a 13.3% first-year abandonment rate. And Jaguar, as a brand, sees 10.7% of everything it sells come back within 12 months. Second worst in the industry. But the F-Pace regret in 2026 has an extra layer that has nothing to do with the vehicle. Jaguar is remaking itself into an electric-only luxury brand, and the old lineup is being wound down. So, an F-Pace buyer is holding a vehicle from a brand in the middle of walking away from it with a shrinking dealer network, uncertain parts and service future, and resale values that reflect all of that uncertainty. The vehicle itself is a decent driving SUV with familiar British electrical gremlins. The regret is buying a ticket on a ship that announced mid-voyage that it's becoming a different ship. Even good machines can't outrun an orphaned badge. Number 10, the entry-level Mercedes Trio, headlined by the GLB. Now pay attention here because this is where the numbers get genuinely shocking. The Mercedes GLB has a 21.2% first-year resale rate. The CLA sits at 24%. The GLA at 16.7%. Even the C-Class runs 14%. That means 1 out of every 5 GLB buyers, people who walked into a Mercedes showroom and drove out with the star on the hood, gave the car back within a year. Here's the mechanical truth behind it. These entry models don't ride on the engineering that built the 3-pointed star's reputation. They sit on a front-wheel drive economy car platform with a small turbo 4 and a dual clutch transmission, wearing a Mercedes suit. And a quick word on that gearbox, because they call it a dual clutch automated manual. Forget the jargon. It's a robot operating 2 clutches for you. Brilliant on a racetrack, jerky in a school pickup line, and expensive when the robot's mechatronics unit gets tired. Buyers stretch to a $700 monthly payment. That's the average new car loan in America now. Expecting S-Class DNA at a starter price, and got a hard-riding compact with luxury-grade repair bills. The badge wrote a check the platform couldn't cash, and 18.5 million VINs don't lie about who paid it. Number 9, the GMC Acadia. Now we cross a line. Everything so far was mostly disappointment. From here down, the machines start failing. The redesigned Acadia scored 14 points out of 100 in Consumer Reports' Twintile 26 reliability survey. 14, that is the single lowest score of any vehicle in the entire survey, out of roughly 380,000 vehicles reported on. GMC as a brand landed 23rd out of the rankings, deep in the bottom third. The pattern is one you'll hear again before we're done. A fresh redesign loaded with new electronics, a new turbocharged 2.5-liter 4 replacing the old V6, rushed out and debugged at the customer's expense. Owners report electrical faults, infotainment failures, drivetrain complaints, the whole first-year redesign bingo card. And GM asks well over 40 grand for it. The engineers who built GM's reputation used to let a design mature before betting the family's name on it. Somebody in a conference room decided the customers could do the testing. The score says how that went, and understand what a 14 means in practice. It means the odds of spending your Saturday mornings in a service lane arguing about whether the fault is covered are the highest of any new vehicle in the country. That's not a car payment. That's a subscription to frustration. Number 8, the Ram 1500. This one is a story about a company forgetting who its customers were. For 2025, Ram redesigned the 1500 and killed the Hemi V8. The simple, proven push rod heart that half its buyers showed up specifically to get, replacing it with the new twin turbo Hurricane inline 6. More power on paper, more complexity in the metal, 2 turbos, high pressure direct injection, more heat in a tighter package, and where the old Hemi had one job and 30 years of debugging behind it, the new engine had spreadsheet numbers and a first model year. The old truck engineers understood something the product planners forgot. In a work vehicle, proven beats impressive every single day of the week. The buyers revolted, sales stumbled, and by mid-2025, Ram publicly admitted the mistake and rushed the V8 back into the lineup. But the damage shows in the data. Consumer Reports' latest survey ranks the Ram 1500 among the least reliable vehicles in America. And by their reliability table, it stands as arguably the least dependable full-size truck you can buy right now, with the brand sitting 25th in the rankings. A truck is supposed to be the one purchase where boring, proven engineering wins. Ram bet against its own customers' judgment, and the customers, it turns out, were right. Number 7, the Lincoln Corsair plug-in hybrid. Handsome little luxury SUV, quiet, comfortable, and named one of the least reliable vehicles in America in Consumer Reports 2026 survey, dragging Lincoln down to 20th place as a brand. Here's what the window sticker doesn't tell you. Under the Lincoln leather, the Corsair PHEV is a Ford Escape plug-in hybrid. Same platform, same powertrain, and critically, the same high-voltage battery hardware, which means it got swept into the same federal recall as its Ford sibling. Roughly 20,000 Escape and Corsair plug-ins recalled for battery cells that can short circuit internally, risking loss of power and fire, a recall that had to be expanded when the first software fix proved it might not be enough. So you paid Lincoln money for Ford problems plus a battery pack under investigation. And that's the dirty secret of badge engineering. The leather is unique. The failure modes are shared. A recall doesn't check the hood ornament before it applies. Owners report electrical faults, charging trouble, hybrid system glitches. Remember this one because its Ford Twin is coming up, and together they tell you something important about badge engineering. Number 6, the Ford Escape. Here is the recall king of the compact SUV class. The current generation Escape has racked up over 40 separate federal recall campaigns, and the crown jewel is the 1.5-liter 3-cylinder EcoBoost cracked fuel injector problem. An injector can crack and dump raw fuel into a hot engine compartment at rates documented up to 5 gallons an hour, which is not a leak. That's a fuel delivery to a fire. And here's the part that should make you sit up. Ford has now issued 4 sequential recalls for this same defect since 2022, covering roughly 858,000 Escapes and Bronco Sports. And as of mid-2026, there is still no permanent fix, just software that watches for the leak and a drain tube to route the gasoline away from the exhaust. Ford quietly extended the injector warranty to 15 years or 150,000 miles, which is a manufacturer telling you in legal language how long they expect this problem to matter. Add 3 more recalls for hybrid and plug-in versions catching fire after engine failures, and the battery recall it shares with that Lincoln, and you have a machine where the regret arrives by certified mail. Number 5, the Porsche Macan. A Porsche on a regret list feels wrong until you see the number. The Macan has a 22.2% first-year resale rate, second highest of any new vehicle in America, and Porsche, as a brand, watches 16% of everything it sells come back within a year, the worst brand rate in the entire study. Better than 1 in 5 Macan buyers, people who paid $60, $70, $80,000 for the entry ticket to the Porsche Crest, gave up inside 12 months. Some of that is buyers stretching into a payment they couldn't sustain, and some of it is the ownership math. Porsche grade maintenance, Porsche grade insurance, Porsche grade everything arriving monthly. And hanging over all of it, the gas Macan is being phased out in favor of the electric version. So buyers of the combustion car are holding the last chapter of a book the publisher already closed. The engineering is genuinely excellent, tight tolerances, honest performance, a chassis that does exactly what it says. That's what makes this one sting. The machine kept its promises. The wallet couldn't. And when better than 1 in 5 buyers of the same model make the same expensive exit, that's not 5,000 individual mistakes. That's product priced into a fantasy. Number 4, the Rivian R1T. I want to be fair to this truck because the people who own them genuinely love them. Rivian actually tops owner satisfaction surveys, and then those same owners fill out reliability surveys, and the R1T scores 18 out of 100, one of the very worst in America, while Rivian sits dead, last among all brands in Consumer Reports rankings, below Jeep, below everybody. Every single model year has logged at least 6 federal recalls covering everything from suspension components to safety systems. Owners report build quality problems, panels, doors, seals, paint, and the endless electrical gremlins of a truck that is essentially a rolling computer from a company still learning to build computers that roll. Some faults get patched over the air while you sleep, which is genuinely clever, and some faults are a drive unit or a loose suspension component, and no amount of software downloads a new ball joint into your driveway. And then there's the money. A 2022 R1T retains roughly 58% of its sticker, while an ordinary F-150 or Silverado holds around 70%. On an $80,000 truck, that gap is a used Corolla, gone. Loving a machine and regretting it are not opposites. The Rivian proves you can do both at once. Number 3, the Land Rover Discovery Sport. Here it is, the most abandoned new vehicle in the United States of America. 28.3% of Discovery Sport buyers sell it within the first year. Nearly 3 out of every 10. That is almost 8 times the national average, the highest regret rate ever recorded in this data. And the money involved is brutal. Average price around $55,000. First year depreciation around $17,930. That's the dealership scene I opened this video with. And total first year ownership costs estimated at over $24,000. For a compact SUV on an aging platform with an underpowered Turbo 4 wearing a badge that Consumer Reports consistently ranks among the least reliable brands sold in America. The Discovery Sport is what happens when a company charges for an image while the engineering underneath quietly retired years ago. The green oval on the nose says Expedition across the Serengeti. The window sticker says School Run in a vehicle that shares more DNA with a decade-old crossover than with anything that ever crossed a desert. 3 out of 10 buyers figured that out within 12 months and paid $17,000 each for the education. Number 2, the Nissan Rogue with the VC turbo engine. Now we've reached catastrophic because this isn't about depreciation anymore. This is about engines destroying themselves. Nissan spent 2 decades and around 300 patents developing the world's only production variable compression engine, a mechanism with extra linkages that physically change the compression ratio while you drive. They call it variable compression. Forget the term. Here's the picture. Instead of the pistons swinging on a simple crankshaft, the way every engine has worked for a century, there's a multi-link arrangement that tilts to change how far the pistons travel, squeezing the mixture harder for economy or softer for boost. Clever, genuinely clever. Also, a whole new family of bearing surfaces, loads, and failure points that no engine before it ever had to survive. And in June 2025, Nissan recalled nearly 444,000 Rogues, Altimas, and Infinitus because bearings inside those engines were failing, shedding metal into the oil and grinding toward total failure. Then it got worse. In February 2026, just months ago, the recall exploded to cover another 642,000 Rogues, about 324,000 for bearings that can seize when oil temperatures climb, potentially breaching the block and spraying hot oil toward a fire, plus 319,000 more for throttle body gears that can fracture and leave you unable to drive forward or backward. The fix, in the worst cases, is a complete engine replacement. A job Nissan's own documents budget at up to 15 hours. Here's the lesson plain as I can make it. The old mechanics knew that every moving part is a promise you'll eventually have to keep. Nissan added linkages to the most stressed assembly in the entire car, the crankshaft, to chase a couple miles per gallon. Physics collected. It always does. And number one, the most catastrophic regret in America, the Chrysler Pacifica Hybrid. Think about who buys this vehicle. Families. People who did the responsible thing, the sensible thing, a plug-in minivan to haul kids on electric power for the school run. And what did they get? A vehicle recalled in 2024, about 24,000 of them, over battery fire risk. And then recalled again in 2026, more than 17,000 of the 2020 through 2002 vans for a high voltage battery defect that can trigger thermal runaway, which is engineer language for the battery pack igniting itself, and it can happen while the van is parked and switched off. Owners were told to park outside, away from structures, and stop charging. Read that again. A family van, you're advised not to park in your own garage. On top of the fire risk, is scored 26 out of 100 in Consumer Reports Reliability Survey, one of the worst in the nation, with Chrysler ranked 20th as a brand. And the ending tells you everything. Stellantis has now discontinued the Pacifica Hybrid, along with the Jeep Wrangler 4X and Grand Cherokee 4XX. Every single plug-in hybrid it sold, all of which landed on the least reliable list, all of them gone for 2026. When a company looks at its own technology and decides the only winning move is to stop building it, the customers who already paid aren't owners anymore, they're evidence. And the mechanism behind thermal runaway is worth 30 seconds of your time. One damaged cell overheats, dumps its energy into the cells beside it, they overheat and dump theirs, a chain reaction that no extinguisher meaningfully stops once it starts. That's why the fix isn't a part. It's a warning letter and a prayer that the software catches the bad cell before chemistry does. Now, here's the part that actually matters, because I promised you a pattern and you may have already spotted it. Go back down that list. A variable compression crankshaft, twin turbos replacing a pushrod V8, dual clutch gearboxes under luxury badges, plug-in battery packs bolted into vans and SUVs designed around gas tanks, screens replacing switches. Almost every catastrophic entry on this list is a simple, proven machine that had complexity added to it fast for marketing reasons, and the regret data is just the receipt. And you have to ask the honest question, who wins when it works this way? Not you. The manufacturer wins because complexity photographs well, headline horsepower and headline efficiency numbers sell the redesign, and by the time the bearings fail or the battery recall lands, they've booked the revenue. The dealer wins twice, once selling you the car and again buying your regret back at auction money 11 months later, then retailing it to the next optimist. The lender wins because a $700 monthly payment on a $50,000 average new car, and yes, the average new car in America now costs over $50,000 for the first time in history, earns interest whether the car runs or burns. There's no money in a mature, debugged, boring machine that you keep for 15 years. There's a great deal of money in a dazzling new one you flee within 12 months. Nobody in a boardroom plans your regret. They just profit from it, arriving on schedule, and so they've stopped designing against it. That's not a conspiracy. It's just arithmetic with nobody on your side of the equation. And underneath all of it sits something worth saying plainly. A car used to be a machine you could know. You could hear when it was unhappy, understand why, and often fix it in your own driveway with your own hands. Every layer of complexity added in the last decade, every sealed module, every subscription menu, every engine that needs a software patch to keep from eating its own bearings, moves the machine a little further from your understanding and a little deeper into someone else's service department. The regret in this data isn't really about depreciation. It's the moment 18 million buyers realized they didn't purchase a machine, they purchased a dependency. And the quiet satisfaction of owning something you truly understand, something proven, something that answers to you and not to a server, that's not nostalgia. That's the whole point of owning anything. So here's what I want you to take away. First, before you buy anything new, look up its first year resale rate, because thousands of previous buyers have already voted with their wallets, and that vote is public. Second, check the Consumer Reports reliability score and run the VIN through the Federal Recall Database at NHTSA. 5 free minutes that can save you a 15-hour engine replacement. Third, treat any first-year redesign as a rolling beta test. Consumer Reports' own engineers say the single best move for reliability is avoiding a newly redesigned model in its first year. So let someone else's driveway be the laboratory. Fourth, be coldly honest about the payment, because half the regret on this list is just a $700 monthly payment meeting reality, and no badge is worth losing sleep over. And fifth, when in doubt, choose the mature, boring, mechanically simple option, the one on its 6th year of production with nothing to prove. Do that, and a year from now, you're the person driving past the dealership, not the one sitting at that desk watching a stranger slide $17,000 of your money into a drawer. That's the whole game. Boring wins. Now, I want to hear from you, because the comments on this channel are worth more than any survey. Have you ever sold a car within the first year? What was it? And what was the exact moment you knew it had to go? Was it a noise, a repair bill, a recall letter, or just the payment landing every month like a slap? Tell me the make, the model, and the story. And if you're one of the people still happily driving something from this list, defend it. I mean that real ownership reports from real driveways are exactly what this channel runs on. And I read every single one of them. If this saved you from a $17,000 mistake, subscribing is free, and it makes sure you don't miss what's coming next, because next time we're going after one of the biggest quiet lies in modern car ownership, the so-called lifetime transmission fluid, the sealed gearbox with no dipstick that's supposedly filled for life, and we're going to answer the only question that matters: whose life, yours or the transmission's? And the answer has a price tag on it that'll make you want to check your driveway tonight. Until then, remember, the most expensive thing on any new car is the part of it you don't understand. Keep your eyes on the data and your hands on something you can fix.